The Oregon-Indiana recap. Indiana blows the doors off the Ducks 56-22 in Atlanta, the Peach Bowl, the national semifinal. Indiana looks every bit the part of a number one team, of a team heavily favored to win the national title. They were plus 130 going into the semifinal to win the Natty. By the way, preseason, they were plus 10,000 to win the Natty. Those bets never work. Oh, except this one looks like it's probably going to work. Can you imagine if you put a little cheese on Indiana plus 10,000 to win the Natty before the season? I mean, probably should have seen that coming, that they would have been better than last year with a massive upgrade at QB. But anyways, Indiana is for sure the team to beat. Looked like it when they beat down Alabama 38-3 in the Rose Bowl. Everyone was going, holy crap, they just outrushed Alabama by basically 200 yards and murdered them at the Rose Bowl. This team's really good. But it was 20-20 late with Oregon at Autzen in the regular season. Let's see if Oregon can put up a fight. Nope. Dante Moore gift wraps 21 points to Indiana. Fernando Mendoza, I mean, I could go a million different ways here. Like, my very first reaction was like, I can't believe Mendoza's this accurate all the time. He finished 17 of 20, and that's the thing about Mendoza. It's not the stats. It's certainly the accuracy, but it's not the yardage total or the TD total that's going to wow you. It is the complete, precise accuracy. Like, dude, those Elijah Surratt back shoulder throws that they scored on against Ohio State in the Big Ten title game, that they scored on against Alabama, that they scored on against Oregon to win the game at Autzen. Oregon actually defended those pretty well in this game. Like, pretty well. But Indiana was just better. Mendoza put it right on the numbers. Surratt, in some instances, literally had an arm being dragged by an Oregon DB, usually Iffy or Flowers or Finney, and he still caught the ball with one hand falling to the ground. Like, dude, they were just that good. The out routes, the precision, the 3rd and 4, they throw it to their fullback, 47, who beats Betcher to the edge, and Mendoza puts it perfectly on the money. Like, they just have an answer for everything, man. Their scheme, their playbook, obviously the genius of Cignetti. I'm getting into the nitty-gritty, the X's and O's, because I definitely have a couple of big macro takes on this Indiana team, but it's just like Mendoza's accuracy is incredible, and then the other thing is their D-line and their defense. For it to be this good, like, they lost Haley, who was the Big Ten leader in TFLs this year, when he jumped up and high-fived the fan after the Big Ten title game in Indy, came down hard on his ankle or his knee, busted it. He's out for the year. They lost Wyatt, who tipped the pass against Dante Moore in Oregon earlier in the year at Autzen to lead to that game-sealing interception. Like, these guys were their two best D linemen, arguably two of the best in college football. They didn't have them in this game. They haven't had them for this playoff. And their D-line is still dominant. I actually thought Oregon went away from the run a little too much. I thought they could have gone back to the run. And again, obviously it wouldn't have mattered, but really, really tough break for Oregon to not have Jordan Davison, who's their bell cow at 235, like young Jonathan Stewart vibes. That dude is incredible. He's going to be so good for the next 2 years. But Oregon didn't have him, so they couldn't really bell cow it. Jay Harris got a couple of touches early and got loose early. But just Oregon never really sustained drives. But really, man, I mean, right off the rip to throw a pick six, like, to D'Angelo Pons, their defense is arguably best player along with Aiden Fisher and Luis Moore and those D linemen I mentioned, like, and Hardy. I like Hardy, their linebacker too, Elijah Hardy. Like, dude, they got a lot of dudes. But to throw that pick six right away, and then obviously the two fumbles deep in your own territory, like, you just gave them the game. You gave them the game right there. And again, to be clear, Indiana is a better team. They are better coached. They have a much better quarterback. To be clear on all of that for certain. But you also just gave the game away when you had a pick six right away and two fumbles deep in your own territory, right? And again, the defense gave up 5 touchdowns. The Oregon defense gave up 5 touchdowns on Indiana's first 6 drives, so you could have stopped them much better. But you basically gift-wrapped them 21 points. And when there's a massive gap at QB, you got to be perfect everywhere else. And Oregon was just far from perfect everywhere else. I mean, you can't give them all those points. My immediate thought was like, I mean, I had a couple of immediate thoughts besides Mendoza's greatness, Cignetti's greatness, was like. And I'm going to go big picture here in a second. My mind's going a million different ways right now. I'm just talking because I need to cope with what was a rough sports weekend for your boy. That was a rough sports weekend. There's no other way to put it. But here's the deal, man. Dante Moore's only 20 years old. He's only started 20 college football games. He deserves grace and time. And I watched the postgame presser, and I thought he handled it very well. He took the accountability. He didn't pull a Caleb Williams at USC, which is to blame everyone else. He took accountability. He said it was my bad. He said I gave the game away, and it certainly was. But shout out to him for taking that accountability. And look, Bo Nix, very good in year one under Dan Lanning at Oregon. Even better in year two. Dylan Gabriel, we only saw get 1 year. So Dante Moore next year, it'll be his third year at Oregon, his second starting. Like, he could take a huge step forward, and candidly probably will. But he will need to take a massive step forward if Oregon wants to beat any of these great teams, period. Like, it's really far off, the difference between him and Fernando Mendoza. And while you can argue Indiana's better in all the other facets of the game too, there's just a lot that needs to get better. Just a lot that needs to get better. And it's I don't know if you can go into next season as Oregon supremely confident in your QB. I just don't. And that'll lead me to my next topic, which is I think Oregon would have loved Sam Leavitt, but they don't know if Dante's coming back or not, and therefore they got Dylan Raiola as an insurance plan. Dante Moore, as of January 12th at noon, when we're taping this, still hasn't announced if he's coming back or not yet, so we don't know. But that's tough, man. Like, the quarterback play against every good team this year was not good. Iowa, 18 points in regulation with your kicker nailing a couple of deep field goals in like sleet. Indiana in regulation, first game, 13 points. Penn State in regulation, 17 points. Texas Tech, you had 16 points until the very, very end of the game, like 30 seconds left when you ran it in. Like, it's been bad on offense from Dante Moore. It has been. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'll be real. I watch all the games. I see the talent, but it's been bad against the good teams. And Oregon needs to be a lot better at quarterback to compete for a national title. Now, that being said, he's young. He's only 20. He doesn't turn 21 till the spring. He only has two years of college experience, less than 2 full seasons starting, 20 total starts. He can get way better, and I think he will. And I'll talk about this in a second, but like, it would make no sense for him to go to the NFL draft right now. None. Like, a 20-year-old entering the draft, he'll be 21. It'll be Sam Darnold all over again, man. It'll just be Sam Darnold all over again, going to the Jets at age 21. Mendoza is a lock to be the first pick. He is by a mile the best QB in college football that's draft eligible, along with Trinidad. He's a lock to be number 1 to the Raiders. So number 2 to the Jets. Like, dude, if you're Dante Moore, you don't want to go to the Jets, man. And anyways, it's tough, man, because these kids are getting paid a lot of money. Like, the rumors, Dante will be getting paid 4 or 5 next year. Like, I wouldn't be afraid to bench him. Like, if I'm Dan and it's this bad again, I wouldn't be afraid to bench him. I know you don't want to create that, but if you have Dylan Raiola, who's uber talented behind him, I don't know, man. It's something I would certainly think about. Let's get to the bigger macro takes beyond Oregon's struggles at quarterback. Cignetti has absolutely mastered the game plan of the transfer portal, better than any coach right now. He gets these 3rd, 4th, 5th year guys to come in, transfer. They're already developed physically, and then he gets plugged into his system, and they play very well. Examples: Fernando Mendoza, he's 22, spent a couple years at Cal, comes over. Like, the difference between age 22 with 4 years of experience and 20 with 1 year of experience, like Dante, is night and day for these college kids, right? So, like, and that's what if Dante Moore stays another year or two, he could end up being great, Mendoza level great. He's not there right now, but he could end up being Mendoza level great because of all that experience he would have, and that's what Mendoza has. Like, let me pull up Mendoza. I just want to make sure I'm getting the age right here. Fernando Mendoza, so he's 22. Got that right. And he did spend 2 years playing at Cal, And then this year, playing in Indiana. Obviously, I remember the Cal game last year when they should have beat Miami, and he played very well in that game. So he's 22, and he's trusted the process, man. You gotta respect that. Like, you absolutely have to respect that. Guys like Roman Hemby, they're running back. I believe he spent 4 years at Maryland before coming over. Elijah Surratt was at a school called St. Francis before JMU for a couple of years, now to Indiana. Like, these are veteran dudes. These are absolutely veteran dudes. Elijah Surratt, let me look this up just to make sure I'm getting it right. Elijah Surratt is also 22. He'll be 23 pretty soon. I'll go through the game log. St. Francis in 22, JMU, and then Indiana the last couple of years. So that's what I'm saying. Like, they get these older guys. Like, Oregon's team is very young, man. It's a really young Ducks team. Like, Jordan Davison, true freshman. De'Ara Hill, true freshman. Dante Moore, 20 years old. 20 starts. A lot of the guys on defense, juniors, many of whom are coming back. All very young-ish. And it's nice. Tatum Tuioti and Amari Washington and Bear Alexander have all already announced that they're coming back for Oregon. So the D-line gets a lot of help coming back next year. Obviously, Bryce Betcher, the linebacker, is gone. I think Mateo may have just announced. Let me look it up. Mateo announced that he's coming back for his senior season recently, like a couple hours ago. So the whole group up front for Oregon is coming back. They kind of have that unfinished business vibe about them. And that'll be huge for Oregon next year to be like that experienced team, right? And they'll probably add some guys in the portal. And anyways, the Cignetti approach is working of taking, and I'm not just talking about like the X's and O's. I'm talking about he gets these guys from the portal who are like 22 and plugs them in. Like, Indiana's turnaround is remarkable. It's historic. It's all those words you want to say. They had 3 wins 2 years ago, right? And then Cignetti gets them to the playoff last year, but they do get blown out by Notre Dame, and they got blown out in the regular season by Ohio State, and everyone's going, they might be kind of fraudulent. And then they proved to not be fraudulent at all this year. Obviously, a big reason for that is Mendoza and his accuracy and the upgrade at QB. Shout out to Curtis Rourke of the MAC, though. He was good last year. Really like Curtis Rourke. I'm serious on that. Shout out to the MAC. But Mendoza takes him to a whole new level this year. But my point is, Cignetti has mastered the portal because most programs, like, you can't do what 2019 LSU did anymore. I don't think you can. Like, getting Jamar and Joe Burrow and all those guys to stay. I mean, Burrow transferred in, had a decent to rough junior year, and then was great senior year. But, like, stockpiling all that talent is hard. So because it's a year-to-year sport now, basically, you got to learn how to bring these juniors and seniors in from the portal. That's the recipe for Indiana, and it's working to perfection. They identify talent perfectly. They're doing it next year. By the way, Josh Hoover, their QB, he's been a multi-year starter at TCU. He's a very good player. They probably paid him $5 million or more to come over, and he'll be their QB next year. He'll also be, I'll check his age, but I'm sure he'll also be at least 22. Let's check out Josh Hoover. He's 21. He'll turn 22 in a month. So he'll be 22 next year. He has already played 4 seasons at TCU. So he'll be a 5th-year senior, 22 years old. Like, he's not taking learning lumps the way that Dante Moore had to this year. Cignetti has absolutely mastered that portal.